Hello and welcome to the second video. We are still talking about computer databases. I'm going to move from Word as a medium to allow me to brainstorm with you about what I need to include to the actual implementation of the database. So as you notice, we are really within Microsoft Access, which I just opened. And as you notice, I'm going to go ahead and name my database accordingly. When I name my database, I start with the prefix DB, a list of computers. And also, we need to be aware of the fact that the database is going to be the container that is going to include all our objects, including the tables, the query, the report, and the form. We cannot separate those as individual files. They're going to be part of the containers. If you take a look at the four objects as four floors in a building, the building is going to be the database, and every floor is going to be corresponding to one of those objects. But I would like to think or emphasize that the table is going to be always the foundation for my database. That's what you're going to see, that when we start database, we design the table before we do anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and create the database. And now I have an empty container. I'm ready to go ahead and create the tables, the reports, the forms, whatever I need to do. The very first thing I would like to do is to change the view to the design. And of course, Access is going to ask me, what do I really need to call it? I'm going to call it TBL computer. I always like to name my object that I'm going to use table starting with the TBL as a prefix. And notice later when we talk about query, we start with a QRY. When we talk about reports, we start with RPT. When we talk about form, we start with FRM, just to ease our identification when we look at them in this area here. So let's go ahead and say, okay, give me that, and I'm happy to get that table. And the very first thing I would like to notice that Access generously gave me an ID as the primary key with an auto number. I don't need really the ID to be the primary key, but I could utilize this, leaving the primary key here as showing here, but I will change this to serial number. So serial number is really what I need to consider as the primary key, because we already agreed on that in the previous video. So I'm going to change also that to text, and also not to waste so much storage, to change the field size to 10. And that is going to give me what I need. Now leave this one here as a primary key. For whatever reason, if I want to change it, I could click on it here, click on it back to assure myself that this is really the primary key. Then we said manufacturer, which is also going to be text, but I wanted to go ahead and change it to 20. And we have model, and I'm going to leave it also as a text, but I'm going to change it also to 10. But I need to remind you, actually remind myself, that the manufacturer are going to be treated as a lookup wizard. I will type in the values, and I would start one more time. Didn't capture it. I will type in the value, go to next. So it's going to ask me, what do I need to do? I'm going to go ahead and start with Acer. Then I'm going to start with Dell. Then IBM, or HP, actually HP and IBM. Then if I need to do anything else, I could add it later. And that's going to actually ease our data entry. Now, after that, we're going to do the price. And that is going to be the currency. And as you see here, I'm going to choose that. And also, I'm going to go ahead and look for the other data, which is size of monitor or monitor size. And that is going to be a number, but I wanted to make sure it is actually an integer. So I'm going to change it to integer in order for me to go ahead and make sure that's not going to give me a fraction of a value. However, the CPU is going to be changed to a number, but I'm going to change the long integer into here, into what do we call it, single. So we need to click on that in order to get it into single. Okay, there is an arrow toward the end of this one here. It doesn't show in the screen, but here toward the end of this, there is an arrow. You have to click on this. Okay, so you could change that to the double or single. See here, I'm going to click on the arrow to the right, single or double. double is double precision, single is single precision. And the last piece of data for me is the amount of RAM, which is going to be the random access memory. Also, this is going to be number, but I'm going to leave it as long integer. Okay, so that's okay. And I have actually completed the design of my table. I'm going to quickly go ahead and add two computers in order to show you how to access the table. So the first thing is to change the view from the design to the datasheet view. And as you notice, it's asking me to save the table. And I'm going to actually fake that serial number. I'm going to put 100000, and this is actually 6 zeros and X. And manufacturer, since I did actually choose those as a list, let's say Dell. I'm going to say here Dell, let's say 370. The price is 1100, and the monitor is 23, and the CPU is 3.74, and the amount of RAM is 8. And I could click and go to the next computer. It's going to be, let's say, it has to be a different serial number. So I'm going to do 9990Y. It's going to be an IBM. And I'm going to say IBM, let's say, I'm faking all this data, 100, and the price is 2000. Usually IBM are more expensive. And the size is 17-inch, and it has 4.2 gigahertz, and it has 6 megabytes of RAM. So this is actually two pieces of records. Each row is going to be treated as a record, and therefore we have to really make sure that we understand that each one of those is going to be a row participating to the list of the table or the list of the file that is going to maintain those two records. Later, of course, we're going to add 3 additional records in the form. I'm going to stop here so we could make these videos short ones, and we're going to move to the forms to create the data entry to add 3 more, and after that we're going to move to the query, and the last thing is going to go to the report. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the third video.